Chris is out of control on this trade, I think. Let's hear the voice of reason.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to go really big on this. I might buy some just to kind of play it, but I'm not going to go huge into it like Peloton or something like that.
And neither would I. I only have $250,000 in it. Can we talk about propane?
Please, tell me what you think about propane. And I'll tell you what I've learned about propane.
All right. So as you know, I own a restaurant, okay?
Yes.
And my restaurant is actually doing exceptionally well for being in the middle of a pandemic. Why? Because my restaurant has one of the biggest and best patios in the city.
That is true.
And
it keeps getting written up in every local publication about where do you go eat outdoors? Chelsea Corner's the place to be.
That's right. Me and my buddy Lynn, we bought it because we both worked there in college, and now we own it, and it's doing great. But it's doing great because of our patio, because people don't want to be inside during a pandemic, okay? So, the thesis, you will see an abnormally large number of propane-based heaters on patios of all kinds of places, whether they be restaurants, any place that's trying to attract people is going to try to figure out how to pull them into their place, but keep them warm, but have them be in a safe place, outside. So we are seeing an uptick in search demand for patio heaters, unlike I have ever seen in my life.
I agree with you so far.
Ever.
Everything you've said, I agree with so far.
Okay? Here's what you need to understand about this company. Suburban Propane Partners, okay? They are one of the largest and most professionally run retail propane companies in America. Now, what does that mean? They are the guys that if you want to run your house on propane, if you want to have a propane tank outside of your house that you use for gas or cooking or anything you want, right? They will install that tank. They will come in, they will check the levels of propane every month, and they'll fill it with propane and charge you, okay? Now, they also sell propane in those tanks, right? You've seen those tanks you can hook up to your barbecue grill, the same tanks that they use in the patio heaters we keep talking about.
The ones you go pick up at the front of Home Depot.
fireplaces.
You basically, these are just those canister things. Like if you don't have hardwired natural gas or whatever, you pick up a propane tank.
So here's the history, and you have to understand the history. The company is about 50% small to medium business, basically companies that use that stuff for their restaurants, for patio heaters, and it's about 50% residential, people that use propane for their house, whether it's for their barbecue grill, their fire pit, or honestly, heating up their whole house or their kitchen. A lot of people do this in rural areas. First of all, last winter was a really warm winter. That's like as bad as it gets for a propane company, because they need a cold winter. Because when it's cold, you use more propane for the residential business.
A lot of propane is used in
it was
agriculture, and actually in 2019, there was a shortage of propane regionally, not nationally, but regionally, where some agriculture was affected by that.
Yes, they do that. They do serve to agriculture as well. But what really killed them, guys, was the warm winter, okay? So they had a warm winter, and right after the warm winter, the pandemic hit. And nearly every restaurant in the country closed down. So all those businesses that would buy propane literally stopped buying propane from them. So they had a 1-2 hit. Ready? The company gets cut in half. Their valuation falls by 50% basically. They cut not their dividend, they cut their distribution by half because they are an LLC. What that means is rather than paying a dividend to their shareholders, they actually distribute profits out to their shareholders, okay? Like a private company does.
You get a K1 with the company?
Yes, you get a K1 with the company. So they cut their distribution by 50%, okay? That was terrible. But guess what, guys? This summer, with the pandemic, they actually had a decent quarter this last quarter. They reported in August. Why? Their business customers were still doing bad, but the residential business was way, way up, all right? Because why? People are at home. When people are at home more, they're cooking at home. And while we don't cook with propane, that much of it, there's a lot of people in this country that use propane, big propane tanks to cook at their house. Even more people use propane to grill. So here's the play. Here's the play. Going into the fall and winter, I think that residential business stays up because people continue to grill and grill and grill. And now we have the business side of their business that they sell to, mainly restaurants and hotels, right? They're trying to get people to come and be outside. I'm going to use twice as much propane in my restaurant this winter. I know it. Propane is not cheap.
My counter to this trade, though, is that according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, we are at a 5-year low in propane prices. It's not expensive right now. It's at the 5-year low. It's not as low as it's been maybe 20 years ago, but we're not talking about super expensive propane right now because, like you say, there was not any propane being bought. So the one thing I see going here is this company has taken a hit and has room to bounce back. But I don't really see this as being a major play. There's not.
Here's what I don't understand about that. So like,
why do you see
upcharge whatever they can buy it for, right? So they just get a spread, so it doesn't really matter if it's a low or high price, right?
Now, I will.
But a low price means that the shortage isn't actually there. They actually must have too much propane because
it's not about shortage, Dave. I'm not saying there's a propane shortage. It's about demand. It's about how much propane people want to use. They can make more propane to serve demand. It's about how much propane they're actually using.
I last night tried to see if I could find a propane heater to buy. Easy to do. I could have one delivered on Amazon tomorrow. I was checking supply to see if I could actually find supply, and within a 10-minute drive of my house, a single brand has 11 different locations within a 10-minute drive where I can drop off my old propane tank, pick up a new one. They also do home delivery now. I did not find any evidence that there is a difficult time finding propane right now.
And that's what he's talking about, is space heaters. So the grilling is one portion. That'll probably be constant, right? And then when winter kicks in, that's when you get the peak because you have heating.
You don't want a supply shortage. You want the supply chain to be moving and grooving and handling all this stuff. The thing, it's not about even the tanks. It's about how often things are getting refilled and replaced and how often people are taking their tanks back. But a good place to look is Google Trends. I think maybe we pull up a couple Google Trends charts just on patio heater is a good thing. Patio heater spikes every November, okay? It spikes in November. But if you look at this 5-year chart for the US on patio heater, you'll see a huge spike that happened right now in early September. So we are seeing a November winter level spike in the month of September. Look at that. That is just insane. Dave, let's check out Fire Pit, a 5-year Fire Pit. A lot of fire pits operate off of propane.
That's a new high.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right?
May, so that's the stay at home. I know I'm going to be here for a while. I'd like to be able to sit outside. I mean, they're doing this in May, preparing for winter.
I love this trade because it's off radar. And listen, social arb investing is all about identifying change that's happening, change in our culture, in consumerism, change in behavior. And if you could identify that change early and connect that change to companies that would be either benefited or harmed by that change before Wall Street and the investing public makes that connection, there's an opportunity to arb that change, right? And that's what we do. And this is really a perfect example of where we're identifying the change a little early. Dave, I will agree with you. We won't know for sure for another month or two the degree that there's a massive amount of demand on propane, but by then it will be too late. The trade will be too late, right?
So what's the trade? And what is this? Is this high conviction? Is this low conviction?
For me, it's really difficult to be high conviction on something that has an element to it that is more important than the piece of information you're trading. And the element here is whether we have a warm or cold winter. So if we get a cold winter, this will move from where it is today, which is medium conviction, to high conviction. I bought 15,000 shares of Suburban Propane Partners, and I plan to hold it until I can figure out the degree to which we're going to have a warm or cold winter. If it looks like we're going to have a really warm winter, I'm going to get out of this trade. If it looks like we're going to have a really cold winter, I'm going to probably double down on this trade. And if it looks like we're going to have just a moderate, normal winter, I'll probably stay exactly where I am right now. That's my trade. What do you think?
I'm just checking the Farmer's Almanac to see what they say is going to happen this winter.
Oh, don't even. Dave,
I'm telling you right now, I am out on this trade. I'm zero conviction.
Why?
Because I see there's the upside is they've already been hit down and they could come back because just seasonally they're going to come back, but I just don't see a big information edge here because the information you have is limited to a very small subset of people and some more searches for patio heaters, but I'm still able to buy one.
But you got to remember, guys, when we did our recreational vehicle trade early in the summer,
which I was in on.
It was just
I was absolutely in on that one.
I know, but it's intuitive sense. People are spending more time outside. They want to ride recreational vehicles. Now, people are also spending more time outside and at home. They're cooking more at home. When they are going to restaurants, they want to be outside where you need patio heaters. Literally every single dot connected to the pandemic does nothing but support things that forces you to use more propane, not less. And by the way, I'm going to remind everyone right now, in case you're confused, we are not financial advisors, and we know what our risk is. We don't know what your risk is. Don't ever trade based on what we're saying. Don't ever do that, okay? Seriously, I'm really proud of our Discord community for sourcing the trade and vetting the trade, and I'll be in there with these guys continuing to vet the trade.
That's what I need to do. I actually have not spent time looking into this trade specifically in Discord, so I need to read their research before I make my decision.
All right, Dave. I like the open-mindedness there.
Always
I like
open.
That. Now, you're still open about Peloton too, right?
Well,